I need to uncover what's going on with these candy stores. If it's the last thing I do. But really, it's not just a Mandela effect. They're plaguing London, particularly Oxford Street. So let's take a trip down memory lane. Number 363 Oxford Street. A cultural artifact, previously home to HMV, the retailer that helped launch the Beatles' first major record deal in 1962. Then it became Candy World. For anyone who's saying that's a downgrade, Candy World could make Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, but the Beatles could never make counterfeit Wonka bars, so there. Speaking of, my name is Tara Mooney, and this is the only channel on YouTube where all videos are written and produced by a cow. She couldn't be in the video today because she's doing some retail therapy herself, but if you like and subscribe, she might appear in the next one. POV, you're a tourist. Not in the philosophical sense, but literally. You're a tourist in London. You've got your bum bag, socks and sandals, and you stand on the left side of the tube escalators, even though everyone else is clearly standing on the right, and common sense should make one deduce that that's the public transport etiquette. But anywho, you get off the tube at Oxford Circus. This is a long POV. Bear with. You get off the tube expecting to do some Landan shopping, but instead you're bombarded with upwards of 30 American-style candy stores. They're bright, colourful and abundant with products, all neatly presented, and they're empty. We'll get to that. But first, why the sudden boom in American candy stores? Is it due to the popularity of US products with UK consumers? Ben & Jerry's is the second most popular ice cream brand, and Oreos are the favourite biscuit for 21% of Britons. It was the survey that referred to Oreos as biscuits, not me. I am firmly in the Oreos are cookies camp. Anywho, I don't think this is the reason. I think something fishy might be going on. And this isn't me just throwing out accusations. This isn't just based on vibes. I won't deny that the vibes are way off in these places, but I have other reasons. For one, they've all popped up out of nowhere. The number of candy outlets shot up 500% during COVID. Taking over spaces formerly occupied by the Body Shop, Forever 21, Topshop and more. Second, these places are almost always empty. As you might have guessed, commercial renting in London is expensive, let alone on Oxford Street. For a space there, you can expect to pay £82.50 to £105 per square foot per month. So for a shop space with 2,109 square feet, that's roughly 17 to 22k a month. Bear in mind that some of these shops are even bigger than this, so they would need to get primo sales to make this rent. And they don't, and this has been backed by Westminster Council. Thirdly, they don't show the prices on things, and they mark up the prices extortionately. It's been reported that children have paid £13 for pick and mix. What's happening to this country?
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
You might be wondering, why would anyone pay these crazy prices? Well, when it comes to paying for overpriced shit in London, the answer is almost always tourists and kids. Or if it's East London, hipsters. But in this case, it's the former. By not labeling a lot of their product, it puts the customer in an awkward position of already being at the till when they're confronted with the price. Who else has paid way too much for something to avoid offending the shopkeeper? Or looking broke. Come on, don't lie, you've done it too. Another possible explanation is something called the lipstick effect. This describes when there's an economic downturn, like a recession or the current cost of living crisis or cosy lives, and Consumers are inclined to still spend money on small indulgences. Don't we all buy things just to feel something? You get yourself to ease the pain of human existence because you're capitalism pilled. Bonus points if the thing you're buying is completely useless. The stupider the purchase, the more therapeutic. I'm kidding, by the way, please don't burn your money on useless things. Confession, back in the day when I was a drinker, I don't mean excessively, I'm a teetotal now. One time when I was drunk, I bought myself an enormous buttercup plushie on Depop. And when it arrived, I was startled by it. Sadly, I no longer have it because I actually resold it back on Depop. Probably to another silly sucker. Another girl boss who met her downfall in the margaritas. The point is, nostalgia and frivolity are dominating the food sector right now. Consumers are looking for multi-sensory experience that are playful and allow them to get lost in their favorite childhood treats or flavors. Never underestimate a consumer's ability to pay for silly things. Wait, actually, I've got a good example of this. Look at this Lidl hat my friend got me. Now, this is a silly purchase, but not a useless one. I apologize for grouping this in with the others, Lauren. Forgive me. Speaking of silly things, you know what some people use for a silly, fun, goofy time? Vibrators. Lidl does not make them, as far as I'm aware. Now there's an idea. But you know who does? Longtime friend of the channel, Lelo. In case you live under a rock, not the rock, if only. Lelo is a Swedish luxury pleasure brand with a self-care movement at those who believe satisfaction transcends gender, orientation, race, and age. They offer the experience of ecstasy without shame, the pleasure of discovering one's own body, and the confidence to lead to a fulfilled, intimate life. In my pleasure journey, I've tried many tools, and Lelo hands down has the best products. I particularly recommend the Lelo.Cruise. Lelo's next generation pinpoint vibrator, which has unmatched pleasure precision. The pinpoint shape lets you meticulously stimulate any erogenous zone using the soft and bendable tip to steer for exhilarating sensations. What's special about this massager, and Lelo's massagers in general, is that it's customizable, because one size does not fit all. Our bodies are all different and we all like different things. It has 8 different pleasure settings, and you have full control over each mode's power setting, so you decide the intensity, whether it's a gentle caress or a rigorous pulse. I think it's also important to point out that Lelo provides an array of resources and information on how to use their products, which makes them accessible for people who haven't used toys before. I think this is really important because it can be nerve-wracking when you start, and because of taboos, it can be daunting to ask your peers for tips and tricks. I mean, it shouldn't be, but it can be for some people. And can we talk about how pretty it is? It comes in such cute colors, because if you're gonna have a pleasure party, why not make it aesthetic? Romanticize your life, bestie. If you want to get your hands on the Lelo.Cruise, click on my link in the description. It will not be a silly purchase, unlike counterfeit Wonka bars. Anyways, thanks for sponsoring, Lelo. Now back to illegal candy. Though the inflated prices are the least problematic feature of these products. In a haul, not like Shein $600 haul, but haul as in a police haul, performed by Westminster Council in the summer of 2022, officers seized around £575,000 worth of counterfeit and illegal goods from American candy and souvenir shops. These goods included more than 2,000 counterfeit Wonka bars, 223 toys without safety labels, and more than 1,300 counterfeit mobile phones, in addition to fake Rolex watches, fake Apple products, unsafe charger leads, shisha products, and to top it off, they found nearly 3,000 unsafe disposable vapes that weren't authorized by the Medicines Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency. They contained excessive levels of nicotine and tank sizes were above permitted level. My personal favourite is that they seized £22,000 worth of counterfeit Wonka bars from a single shop. They claimed they were signed by Timothée Chalamet himself. That's a lie. But they were found to contain unlisted allergens and were suspected to be repackaged by unregistered businesses, meaning there's no way of knowing if they've followed the Food Standards Agency regulations. Allergens are no joke. They could have killed people. You hear that, Timothy? How could you endorse this? Westminster Council investigated 30 of these American candy stores and found that nearly 9.2 million worth of business tax was owed. To put this into perspective, this sum would fund the annual salaries of nearly 450 newly qualified nurses. I mean, it would only fund this if the government would, want to fund NHS worker salaries. But the point still stands. Business rates evasion is where the owner of the property lets it to an intermediary who rents to the souvenir and candy stores, usually on licenses. This means the landlord can avoid paying business rates on an empty shop, and instead the occupier, paying minimum rent and low staff salaries, becomes liable to pay the tax. So because landlords have to pay up if these buildings are left empty, they often rent out the space to the first applicant, regardless of their legitimacy. Up until recently, this has unfortunately been very easy to do. You can register a business on HMRC within 12 minutes. It is slightly harder now, which I'll get to in a minute. One of the main reasons for this is the huge shift in the retail market in the past decade, or few decades even. We're in the age of the internet. Online shopping is supreme, leading to brands like Debenhams and Topshop becoming obsolete. Then Mr. Corona hit. Oh boy, it's been a perfect storm. The shop drops have led to 20% of Oxford Street being left unoccupied, with these dodgy businesses filling the void. So, who do we think is doing this? And why? I'm going to take this off because the next bit gets a bit more serious. Now, let's get to the down and dirty, the nitty gritty, the why. Why has this been going down? As you might have guessed, it's because of illegal money stuff. Allegedly, money laundering, i.e. hiding dirty money obtained illegally by disguising it with legal income, thereby making it appear clean. Laundering. Laundry. It's a big problem across the world, but London is notorious for it. It has such a dense network of anonymous owners and untraceable shell companies that it's been nicknamed the laundromat and the dirty money capital of the world.
London is the dirty money capital of the world.
Londongrad. This is a reference to Russian oligarchs infiltrating the British economy, with a fair share of this being less than legitimate. It isn't only coming from Russia though, but from multiple kleptocracies. And this is not to say that Russian money is behind these American candy stores. I'm just using this as a case study to explore the issue of dirty money in London. Russian involvement in particular has dominated the dirty money discourse amongst economists and journalists. There's even kleptocracy tours around London where you visit places, allegedly, bought by kleptocrats with shady money. The main way kleptocrats clean their money is through buying property in the UK, particularly in London, in fancy areas like Kensington, Mayfair, Chelsea, all that malarkey. 84,000 homes in the UK are owned anonymously. £6.7 billion worth of homes in the UK have been bought with suspicious wealth. £1.5 billion worth, equivalent of 150 land titles, has been bought by Russian individuals accused of corruption or having close links to the Kremlin. More than 35,000 London properties have offshore owners, with no one knowing except them, who they belong to, or where the money came from. The reason this is bad is because the money isn't traced, these people aren't paying taxes here, robbing the taxpayer of resources. We're in a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis. House prices have reached a point of obscenity, and £41 billion worth of London property is unoccupied. And this isn't just about wasting space and property, but also how this contributes to the property market's inflation. And there's the fact that this hurts civilians in other countries. Allowing these transactions facilitates global corruption because this wealth is generated by hoarding wealth and resources through embezzlement and misappropriation of government funds. Kleptocracies. So, to summarize, it's a financial and ethical failing. Who's facilitating this? Why would people in the UK facilitate this? The oligarchs and kleptocrats that make these purchases do so with the help of a third party, be it a lawyer, accountants, UK bank, 81 law firms, 86 UK banks, and 117 UK education institutions have accepted and moved around suspicious money. This has been beneficial for London's political and business elites, as Tory donors have had roots in the Russian kleptocracy, allegedly. However, you could say that we have reached a turning point. Economists and investigative journalists have been talking about this problem for years, but the invasion of Ukraine has only further highlighted how dirty money is a weapon against civilians and a weapon against democracy. We've recently seen changes with the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Bill. This means an overseas company that purchases a UK property has to tell the land registry who really owns and controls these companies. It also means that unexplained wealth orders will be easier to implement. And these are court orders that compel someone with assets over 50k to explain how they can afford them if it isn't immediately obvious. How effective this will be is questionable. The funding crime agencies receive to tackle this issue is minuscule, especially compared to what their opponents have. Also, clamping down on Russian purchases doesn't ensure other shady sources will fill its place. So, shrugs. I guess I should get back to the candy stores. How did I get here? We went from counterfeit Wonka bars to the war in Ukraine. This channel is so versatile. Get a girl who can do both, nails emoji. This isn't gonna get resolved overnight. In November 2022, 12 of these stores were shut down. A third of them. But then 9 more popped up in their place in February of this year. It's ridiculous you can start a company with less admin than getting a library card in Westminster. It reflects badly when people get away without paying their taxes. We're playing whack-a-mole. I do feel for the local council, because ultimately this is allowed by central government. HMRC and the National Crime Agency just don't receive enough funding to keep up with this issue. Even though there's still a lot of these stores plaguing London, burning my eyes. So tacky.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
And not in a cute way. The investigation by Westminster Council has made a difference. You can see this with the rebrand of these shops along the street. You can tell that they're shuffling in their boots. Not quaking, but there's a bit of shuffling. They seem to know that their days are numbered. Either they're changing their appearance or shutting down completely. Westminster Council have announced a new programme, Meanwhile on Oxford Street. This scheme offers 35 businesses a 6-month rent-free tenancy and a 70% reduction on business rates liability throughout the tenancy. The shops will also be helped with store design, mentoring, management, and marketing support from independent retail consultants, Someday Studios, and Westminster City Council. This has helped independent businesses before. For example, the botanical brand Lab Tonica was offered a short-term pop-up in 2021, and it now has a permanent concessions in Selfridges. Another 2021 pop-up, Petit Pli, its sustainable children's clothing brand, now has a permanent store in Battersea Power Station. Now, of course, these are the success stories. The ones who didn't flourish under this scheme, don't get reported. But it's something. Oh, and you know how I mentioned HMV at the start of this video? Candy World has been reverted back to HMV. So yay. And an IKEA is open up where Topshop used to be. Meatballs. So yeah, thank you for embarking on this strange journey with me. I know that this investigation was at its height a year ago, but it's still an ongoing economic issue. And I thought you'd be interested to hear this tale with all its twists and turns. And see me go undercover. Stealthily. Oh, I was oh so subtle. And I don't want you to be extorted when buying candy. And I don't want Oxford Street to be such a shithole because a lot of stuff happens around there where I go. So yeah, it hurts my eyes and I'd rather that not happen. If I can avoid seeing ugly things, I'd like that please. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like because one like equals one store being shut down. Ooh, that's how powerful the YouTube like button is. What does a dislike button do? Does it just cause an earthquake? Don't do that. No, stop. I know. I have such power, it's wild. Anyways, I'm gonna go sell a bunch of candy way overpriced on Depop. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Hello, thank you for watching the video. I just want to say a quick thank you to my lovely patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting the channel and making sure that the cow has nice grass to eat. So today's pet shout out is very special because not only am I shouting out a lot of pets, these pets also belong to the co-editor of my videos. So the cow, you know, as she has to edit with hooves, she does get help. So I have a lovely editor from Brazil and I am going to shout out their pets today. So first of all, we've got Axel, like Axel Rose. He is the oldest of the bundle. He's a mix between a Turkish Angora and something else, they're not sure. He's a mama's boy and he only sleeps with her and he doesn't like being pet by anyone but her. But he was rescued because he got attacked by some stray dogs, and very much like Mr. Ella, he is a trans icon because he was female at first before they found. Anyway, this is Kotoka. She's the second oldest. She's a bobtail something and they adopted her as an adult. She got left behind when her previous owner moved away. Oh. She's a stray at heart. She likes to wander around the street and she's kind of antisocial, very angry, hates everyone, but very sweet. She loves to steal the entire bed to herself. Then we've got Berlin, who is a long-haired Siamese, a muse and a diva. He's treated like royalty, very icky about everything and everyone. He is also a model for these amazing outfits. He's a silly fella and he pisses everywhere in the house. Oh my god, Siggy does the same. Then we've got Jade. Oh my god, look at those eyes. She is the goofiest of the babies. She likes to run around the house and sleeps like a meme format. She's kind of on the crazy side. And if she thinks she's home alone, she'll start roaming and meowing as loud as hell. You know what? Same. Berenice is the glutton of the babies. She's very needy, needs to be on laps all the time, climbs on you when you're watching TV. She likes to steal the food of the other cats and is very chill in comparison to the other two babies. She's a little hibernating baby. And now we've got the third, but definitely not the least, of the babies. This is Judith. She is the definition of a rascal. She's the youngest of them all, yet she is the first to climb on the house's roof. She's very talkative. She's pretty much the only one that answers meowing when you call her. She also likes to climb on people when they're eating to try and steal their food. Oh my god, Mr. Ella does that too. She's literally the cat on all those videos of kittens stealing food from people. When we first got her, she got bullied hard by the other cats, even the small ones. But now they all get along very well. And that's all the cats. They're all adopted, rescued, and then there's also 5 or 6 other stray cats that they feed on a daily basis. So that's a lot of cats. That's basically a cat sanctuary, and I support it. So yeah, make sure to give them all a round of applause and lots of love. See you in the next one. Bye.